What's up, folks? Getting those stream days in. Today we're going to be making a quiche, a broccoli and cheese quiche. Sam, you go lay down, buddy. You're fine. Sorry, super old dog pacing around the house searching for death. Broccoli and cheese quiche. We're going to add a little bit of bacon and shallots into the filling, and we're going to make our crust from scratch, and we're going to blind bake it. But basically, like for the stream, because we're trying to do like short streams in the early afternoons, like basically just like getting dinner ready and then save longer streams for maybe the weekend or something. We're still working it out. Gonna make the crust. I got to chill it for a little while, probably blind bake it, and then just kind of like make the filling, and then we'll put the finished product on our Instagram at @BStoneBlondie. So let's get started making the crust. We got a bowl and we got some flour, and we're basically going to make like a 3-2-1 ratioed pie crust. 3 parts flour to 2 parts fat to 1 part liquid. We're going to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar to the crust in an effort to add a little bit of like acidity and like just make the flavor of the crust pop a little bit more. Also, some of like the residual sugars in the vinegar, which is not a lot, but it's still there, will aid in that golden brown, that GBD texture you're looking for. We're going to implement a little bit of like our last little bit of duck fat in with the bacon and shallots and thyme for the filling. But yeah, let's get to measuring. I got my measurements right here. We got 2.5 or 2.25 cups of flour. Typically I'd weigh a lot of this stuff, but my scale's broken, so we're gonna eyeball it. And like your grandma taught you, just like level off your measuring cups. So that's 2, and then I need a half of a half. So should be good. Like, it's pie crust, right? So you're not really it says the bad baker. You don't have to be super exact. So we got flour, heavy pinch of salt, I feel like I'm going to need a little bit more, but basically, yeah, I'm just going to grab a fresh block. Need a cup of butter, which is, what, 8 tablespoons, right? Something like that, or 8 ounces? I'm not sure if it's by weight. I'm rambling. I'll dice it and I'll measure it. Should be half of this. But you want to like dice it and keep it small because you want to like work it into the dough by hand and make like little like, you want to encapsulate it in the flour. So the colder it is, the better. And then just small dice it, trying to handle it as little as possible, especially like good or higher quality butters with higher fat content will start to melt very quickly. So the smaller you dice it, the less you have to handle it. But also don't grip it too tightly and apply all that body heat to the butter while you're cutting it. Alternatively, you can partially freeze the butter. Here, let's measure it just for the sake of the stream. And use like a cheese grater to do that. And I have my cheese grater out, so like that's basically a cup. To like grate the butter and get it very, very fine, but I don't feel like that's super necessary in this instance. And then, so we're gonna work all this together with our hands and just like rub the butter into the flour. And they make like a little like dough cutter tool that you can use for this, but I find that your hands are sufficient. And essentially this is going to create a bunch of little pockets of moisture and fat. The fat's going to like you make the dough, you know, tasty and give it like a good structure, like a good texture and structure. The residual moisture that's in the butter is going to evaporate, and this is like why things like croissants rise. It's like the evaporation of the moisture in between the layers. But it's a pie crust, so you don't really want like a huge amount of rise out of this. So what we're going to end up doing is blind baking the crust using some weights to create a solid surface for when we pour our quiche mixture in. It won't like soggy up the crust. And you're just like looking for like these little like pea-sized amounts of butter in the flour, and we're basically there. Might have like a few bigger chunks, but that's okay. Wash my hands real quick. So basically we had 3 cups, 2¼ cups flour, cup of sugar, or cup of butter, so we're like 3, 2. Now we gotta go down to 1. We're gonna do like a tablespoon of vinegar. Should have grabbed my tablespoon. Using apple cider. Right in there, and then might have to add like a little bit of ice water to this. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it right now. I'll use tap water. Some people use like vodka out of the freezer, but I'm gonna like incorporate all this together. And it's not gonna look like much at first, but as we like hydrate the flour, obviously. My math might be a little wrong on my paper, but that's okay. I know what I'm looking for. We want to create like this like shaggy pie dough. And that's like about as much as I want to mix it in the bowl. And what I'm going to do is grab some more of my flour. And turn it out in what is like not a dough whatsoever, but it will come together. Even if we had to have like a touch more moisture, this is what we want. And we don't want to work it too much because we don't want to develop the gluten. We want like a very like short pastry. Yeah, this is definitely going to be more than sufficient. And then we're going to like make sure this is all incorporated, wrap it in plastic, and pop it in the freezer for like 20 minutes. And that should be enough to make sure that our butter doesn't run, and the butter smells like really, really good. Kerrygold butter is like the best butter. If you're not buying Kerrygold butter like your standard grocery store, there's like better butters, but man, it's the best consumer grade butter for sure. That's like about all we want to work at. So I'm gonna go grab my plastic wrap. suppose it is the dogs and doorbells, like the eternal enemy? Get rid of these guys. It's more than likely just Amazon delivering a package. You're good, Sammy. Go lay down, bud. Ay, ay, ay. Alright. Realize I also forgot my towel. Dust off our work surface. Go lay down, buddy. You're good. Thank you. Thank you for protecting the house. We're going to now dice our bacon in order to get that rendering. We're going to render it with some shallots and some thyme. Run my steel over this knife. You absolutely always want to render bacon in a cold pan. See, like a lot of, like, you know, you went to breakfast at your mom's house or whatever, and they get this pan like ripping hot over the on the stove, and then they add the cold bacon to the hot pan, and like, sure, you're going to cook it, but you're not going to cook it evenly. The fat's not going to render at all, so you're going to have like floppy, curly bacon, and that's just not the way you should be doing it. So start in a cold pan, turn it on to like below medium, like if your oven or your stove is like on a scale of 10, you know, like a 3.5, especially for something like this that you want to pull all the fat out of. You want to have like crispy bacon bits for the end result of this quiche. Start in a cold pan, medium low heat. Just let it like live its life. Boom. To prove I wasn't lying. For added measure, because I've been trying to sell this stuff, I got this last little bit of duck fat, like schmaltzy. Oh yeah. Duck fat that I'm going to add to render with that. While that starts to render, we'll dice up or slice up some shallots, and then we'll start working on our filling. Oh shit, I was supposed to put this in the freezer, huh? Classic. I'm just gonna like flatten it out a little bit so that it doesn't take super long to chill. If you're not pressed for time, you can refrigerate it, probably for like an hour. Yeah, no big deal, should be fine. We decided to make a quiche because I made this comment in one of our social media pages that like how much better farm fresh eggs are than regular eggs, which obviously sounds like it doesn't need to be said, but I don't think people know exactly how much better they are. Like, they're like way better. The average age of an egg on the grocery store shelf is about 60 days, as I recall. It's like between 45 and 60 days. So like, you got to think about, you know, that egg was laid and then it went through all kinds of inspection and just sat in refrigeration for that long, and the, you know, entropy affects all things. What's up? How you doing? I've seen your Beast of Blondie channel. Oh, welcome to the stream. So yeah, like 45, 60 days, all that albumin and stuff like that is kind of, you know, not decomposing, but it's certainly breaking down. And then, you know, you buy the eggs from the grocery, you think that they're fresh, they sit in your fridge for another week. And then you get these farm fresh eggs that are like, you know, still warm. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's a bot. Sweet. The old bot views. And it's just like this crazy difference in taste and texture, and well, anyway, ever since I made that post on my like personal page, had like people dropping off farm fresh eggs like in this like podcast community that they asked for my address, and they're like, "Hey, I have a bunch of chickens. You want some eggs?" They always go to waste. Absolutely I do. So we have some farm fresh eggs, and we'll be using those for the quiche. The bacon has begun to sizzle. I think what I need to do to make this stream a little bit more efficient is to set up all this stuff. I mean, I can't really set out all my mise en place before I go to work, but make a kit the night before, something to that effect. I come home, I've been going into work super early to come home and do this and work out and such, and it's such a scramble to get this ready. But we'll figure it out. Figure out how to get this done. So I think the way we're going to proceed is to render the bacon, drain it, leave it, and then cook the shallots. And I think I might saute the broccoli very briefly just to like kind of remove some of the water content. But I'm going to let the bacon go for a minute before adding anything to it. In the meantime, we will get our filling ready. So we're gonna do broccoli, cheese, bacon, shallots. That's our plan for the quiche. And as I mentioned earlier, I had this box grater out. Rather than have like, you know, I could like sit here for a while and hand cut all this broccoli. But instead what I'm gonna do is make a few manageable pieces and grate the broccoli on like one of the larger sides of the box grater. And my goal is to effectively make as a homogeneous mixture as possible. So, florets and all. And this is going to make hopefully not like a colossal mess, but it'll definitely shoot these little florets everywhere. And, go as close as I can without losing a finger. Not nice stems here towards the bottom. That's good though. All right, broccoli done. There's bacon a stir. Kerrygold butter, Kerrygold cheddar, right? Don't mess up a good thing if you got a good thing going. I'm gonna grate this as well, and then we're gonna make our egg mixture for the quiche in the blender to really just generate as homogeneous a mixture as possible, and then we're gonna fold all this in. And I don't think now that it's all broccolied up. How much does this thing weigh? Does it say? It's like 8 ounces. Yeah, so too much. We're going to do 4 ounces of cheese. So just cut this guy in half. No problem. The box grater, much like the microplane, is very quick to remove the skin from your body. So there might be a few larger chunks towards the end here. Those last little bits. Scoot this all over and make room for our blender. So quiche is like a kind of a tricky like chemical makeup in that if your ratio of eggs to cream or half and half is not great, you will just end up with like a scrambled egg pie rather than like a really nice silky smooth quiche. I used to work across the walkway from the pastry department at a restaurant that I worked at ages ago. And their ratio is the ratio that I've just always used when I end up making quiche. So it's going to be 8 eggs and 3.5 cups of half and half. Like I said, we're going to utilize the blender to make it like nice and homogeneous. Break out my measuring cup that I put away prematurely. Almost time to throw the shallots in that pan. So 3.5 cups. I'd actually be a little short on the half and half. Somebody's been making coffee. So we'll just substitute a little bit of milk for that last half a cup. Which should totally be fine because honestly we have like a bunch of fat in the mixture, so maybe like a little, 2% will round this out. It's more of a liquid to protein ratio anyway, rather than like fats and such. Killing the milk. We have a toddler, so we always have milk on hand. That. Starting to get bacon bitty. I'm going to crack these eggs off of my cutting board so that don't develop salmonella. And I actually changed my mind. I am just going to cook the shallots and the bacon together. Rather than have like a crispy topping, just have like a nice standard quiche situation. And I'll use this shallow bowl to crack my eggs in. So yeah, farm fresh eggs. Like, check out all these like awesome different colored eggs that you get. Hold on. Tough to find the right angles in this thing. We got green, brown speckle, light brown. This one still has some schmutz on it, which is awesome. I had one the other day that had like some feathers attached to it. So. It's interesting too because like as per like the USDA or whatever, we wash and like our eggs in like a bleach mixture, but they come out of the chicken with a protective coating that when you wash it off, it actually reduces the shelf life of the egg, which is like why you have to refrigerate it. There's a little piece of shell in there. Back in the day, you just relied on this like, I don't know, cloaca juice to keep your eggs stable at room temperature. 3, 6, 7, 8. 1 egg left over. Get these eggs right into the blender. season this whole situation. Good amount of black pepper. A couple pinches of salt. Then we're gonna also throw in a little grate of nutmeg. I'm not the biggest Elton Brown fan, but basically one of his big pieces of advice is always buy whole nutmeg because they last for like ever. Just do like 3 little grates, maybe 5. Back into the jar. I've had this jar of nutmeg for like before I even started cooking professionally, probably. And then let's go blend it up. There you go. Quiche filling. Got a lot of dishes to do today. We have a little bit of time. We're going to throw some thyme in there with the bacon and the shallots to get like a little depth of flavor going. So yeah, this is everything going in the quiche. We got broccoli and cheese, bacon, shallots, thyme. We got our egg mixture. We got our dough resting in the freezer, which I'm going to pull out right now and form to my pan. I'm going to grease the pan and get that going, and then I'm going to blind bake it, and then regular bake it, and then we're going to have dinner later. As I mentioned, short streams, just like getting dinner ready, during the week, and then hopefully we'll do like some longer stuff with some more components and stuff over the weekend. Appreciate everybody that came to hang out, and especially the bot. Check out this site address in my profile banner. See you later. Food and drink is one of the best games. Awesome. All right. I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching.